If you're a player who's struggling to strike your iron, struggling to control your ball flights, then this drill will definitely help you out. You will be amazed at how quickly during your swing you can ruin the whole sequence. And if we think about how quickly our downswing is over, so from here down through impact, it only takes about half a second to complete. And that's not really enough time for us to react to a poor position that we put ourselves in the backswing. So like I said, if you're a player who needs to improve that strike, if you feel like you miss the center or you feel like you don't compress the ball properly, then there's something that we need to change in your backswing that could be ruining your swing all along. Let's talk about what I see a lot of the time in my lesson bay. Quite often, even from a good setup, I will see a movement where people start to take the golf club away and roll the club face, so twisting our hands here, and take the club away on the inside. So often this comes from the feeling of I need to swing from in to out to try and get that draw shape, or maybe they're just trying to not come over the top. But unfortunately what that can create is more of a problem when it comes to club face control, and controlling this little thing here is by far the most important thing in your swing, because that's the part of the club that's going to make the golf ball launch in the right direction. It's the part of the golf club that we're trying to strike just in the center part, and if you are struggling to control this, then you are going to be really struggling to strike the ball consistently in the right direction. So if we set ourselves up and we've got a really good setup, some of you may have seen the idea of taking the club away on plane, but what we do with this club face is really important, because if that club is open, so this leading edge is more vertical and let's say my spine angle, then that means there's a very good chance that I start to come down into impact with an open club face and my golf ball starts launching to the right. But your brain is very smart, your body is very smart, and quite often I'll see a lot of reactions and responses. So while somebody's on their way down into impact with that open club face, the body may stop and they'll kind of jump up and wonder why they're not completing the follow through, because they try and get all the way around to a good finish position, but quite often find themselves jumping out of it. And then you can see as I make that movement where I get on my tiptoes and sort of flick the wrists in a real effort to try and square that club face back up, I lift the club up in the air, I might be striking it off the bottom. All sorts of bad things can happen. And you can ruin all of your golf swing within the first 3 feet, just in the takeaway. And I want to talk you through a drill today which is going to completely change that takeaway and make sure you've got control of your swing in the backswing, and you can get into a position at the top of your swing where you can start to deliver that golf club without too many compensations. Now this impact ball is all you need to completely change that takeaway. And it's called impact ball. You don't need this one necessarily. There are a lot of variations online. You could even get sort of a necklace one that sits around, and it's just a sort of like a small size 5 football that we're going to use to sit between our arms. I quite like this one because it's got the grooves here that allow my forearms to sit, if you can see those, a little bit more comfortably. And you're going to see visually why this yellow and blue side of the golf ball is really going to help us do the correct thing. So what we're going to do first of all, we're going to make sure we're in a good setup, and we're going to get this ball in between those forearms. And you can now see that there's one half on the right hand side is the blue and one half on the left hand side is the yellow. I'm going to make sure I've got a really good setup. Now as we watch me take this golf club away, and I'm going to make that move that I see a lot of people making in my golf lessons, and it's a movement where we see this right arm folding and bending to almost 90 degrees. We see the club face rolling open, and what we also see now is that yellow and blue color on the ball end up alongside each other, okay? And that's a movement where I am rolling these hands. And a lot of the time that can come from a lack of rotation in the backswing, because if I just start to take this golf club away with my arms, there's no real other way to move that golf club other than letting my arms roll. This left shoulder wants to sort of rotate, and therefore that ball is going to rotate with it, and that means that the club face is going to rotate with it, and now we have that open club face, which we've already spoke about is a problem. So I want you to try and do something completely different. And I often say to people, this is great with a mirror at the driving range here. I've got a mirror just behind the camera there, and that's going to allow people to get some feedback and watch themselves and see whether it's going right or wrong. So when we are set up, we've got this ball between the arms, and we're just going to focus on how this club moves away from the body. And now you can see that I am starting to rotate my shoulders and rotate my sort of torso rather than just moving my arms. So this position now, look at the difference there. We've got the golf club face is parallel to my spine angle. We've got the golf club face in line with my hands. And I think a really good visual for you watching this at home is I now have the blue part of the ball more on top of the yellow part as opposed to alongside it. And we see how that golf club position starts to change just by me moving those elbows and moving where my shoulder is and letting this golf ball roll. And ultimately, if you can make this takeaway happen just until that golf club gets parallel to the ground, you will have a better swing plane. So your golf club will be traveling in the right direction, which means it can start to come and deliver itself into the ball a lot better. You will also have better club face control, which, as I said before, is so important to get that ball moving towards target and to get that more important strike, okay? So we can hit some shots with this. Now, they're not going to be full ones, but we can just hit some sort of half swings, and you can see how much this ball is kind of forcing me to rotate. I'm making sure I'm keeping the blue side on top and making sure I'm not rolling open there, and just hit some sort of punch shots. And we get a really nice strike, and more importantly, that's a really straight ball flight, and that shows that I'm controlling this club face. Now, if on this next one, I'm going to let this golf ball roll, you will see a complete difference when the blue gets alongside the yellow. All of a sudden, I strike that ball out to the right towards the fence, and it did not feel good at all. It's come from this part of the golf club here, because as I have opened my club face, this is the part of the club that's now moving towards the golf ball. If the club face was square, you can see that's much more full on, and I have a better chance at striking the ball well. And I would just like you to hit some shorter shots if you get yourself a training aid like this, and just see in the mirror what you're doing, some shorter shots, turning through, trying to get a good strike, seeing a change in the ball flight. And again, it's a nice strike, and it's straight down my target line. And once we've done that enough times, if you've done that maybe 15, 20 times on the range and you feel like you're getting to grips with it, that's when you can start to check on your backswing without. And you see now I keep the structure in my arms. You can see from down the line that I haven't rolled it on the inside. And now I can start to make swings where I pass through that checkpoint. I can make the swings a little bit longer. Still don't need to go full power, just trying to strike this ball. And again, it's a really nice strike, and more importantly, the right direction. I haven't dialed that up to 100% yet. We're not swinging full power, we're trying to learn new things. And those of you who've had lessons with me know that when we're trying to learn new things, we've got to do it slowly. We've got to make smaller movements, slower movements. We've got to be in control of what we're trying to do, and more importantly, aware of what we are doing. And you don't have as much awareness if you're swinging at full speed. So let's get yourself just hitting a few shots on the driving range, just making some shorter swings, making the rotation happen in the shoulders rather than the break of the arm and the roll of the hands. And I can almost guarantee you'll be striking the ball better rather than ruining that golf swing within the first few feet. So if you found this golf lesson beneficial and you think it's going to help you out, or you've tried it at the range and it's already helped you out, then please do like and subscribe to the channel, and more tips like this will come to help your game. And if you want to come and see me in person at Trafford Golf Centre where we are today, then there's a link in the description as well where you can buy lessons, book lessons, and even just drop me a message to ask any advice. And if you're not in the local area, but you do want some advice from me about your golf swing, I'm on a platform called Skillest, which allows me to review your swing, allows me to send you personalized videos just like this one, but specific to your swing. And then we can give you feedback and help you out on your golf improvement journey. So that link is also down in the description, which is going to give you a link to the Skillest page, and you can drop me a message to find out a little bit more how that works.